Final headline bulletin on this Friday morning. Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize is expected to wrap up his two-day visit to KwaZulu-Natal by conducting a walkabout at the Nemea Hospital in Utrecht and in the Madadeni Hospital in Newcastle, north of the province. Yesterday, Mkhize visited the Richmond Hospital, accompanied by Health MEC Nomagugu Simelene Zulu. The facility has been renovated to cater for patients in the area. KwaZulu-Natal has seen a sharp increase in COVID-19 infections over the past weeks. South Africa has meanwhile recorded 306 new fatalities relating to COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. This pushes the death toll up to 9,604 nationwide. New infections are up by 8,307, and this brings the total number of confirmed cases to 538,184. The number of recoveries currently stand at 387,316, and this translates to a recovery rate of 72%. And the High Court in Cape Town has reserved judgment in British American Tobacco's challenge of government's ban on the sale of cigarettes. The ATSA has argued the ban is not based on scientific evidence and is unconstitutional. Government lawyers told the court the ban is needed to prevent smokers who contracted COVID-19 from developing severe symptoms. A full bench of judges heard the matter. And that's the end of the news here on Morning Live. We, of course, will update you throughout the day on the SABC News' platforms. All right, let's take a break. When we return, Valen brings her final sports bulletin to you. Stay tuned.
With the country's high COVID-19 infection rate, health conditions in prisons are under the spotlight.
As a result of the overcrowding, these inmates are prone to get infected.
We actually have been able to contain the pandemic quite well in these facilities.
We're sitting with a huge problem, and every day these people are dying. It's a grave humiliation to the human rights of the inmates.
Parole is a privilege. These are people who have committed murder, rape, very serious crimes in our communities. And ideally, you don't want such people being let out willy-nilly without a very due process.
Violent protests have rocked Cape Town for the past 2 weeks, leading to 30 arrests.
Number of protesters that they are bemoaning what they call poor service delivery, especially to coloured communities.
We are not getting a fair or equal chance in everything we do. We are the people that is doing all the work, but we are the people that always has to get the second-class treatment.
We are tired of living in backyards. We are tired of seeing our kids standing on corners, becoming drug addicts, our girls prostituting themselves for money.
Now, scientists from 32 countries recently wrote an open letter to the WHO and presented evidence revealing smaller floating particles of the virus can actually be inhaled.
Fields of research that are really growing and for which there is some evidence emerging but is not definitive. The evidence needs to be gathered and interpreted, and we continue to support this.
There are many things that we can do now to prevent infections, and by preventing infections we are ultimately preventing the opportunity for someone to advance to severe disease and death.
If you were taking these non-pharmaceutical interventions not serious, this is the time that you need to be very, very serious about wearing masks and also keeping a safe distance.
Welcome back. Let's bring you a final sports bulletin for this Friday morning here on Morning Live. Good to be with you. Jason Day and Brendan Todd shared the lead after the first round of the PGA Championship. Brooks Koepka got his title defence off to a solid start, and South Africa's Shaun Norris did the best of the 6 South Africans taking part with an opening 69. Louis Oosthuizen and Dylan Fratelli shot opening rounds of 70. In the first major of the COVID-19 era, former champion Day, who had top 10 finishes in each of his last 3 starts on the PGA Tour, carded a bogey-free 5 under par 65 at TPC Harding Park. Going out in the windy afternoon, Todd mixed 7 birdies with 2 bogeys and sank a 10-foot par putt on his last hole. Kepka, Justin Rose, Xander Schauffele, former world number 1 Martin Keimer, and Zach Johnson were among a group of 9 one shot off the pace in the first major championship since the July 2019 British Open. Tiger Woods, in only his second PGA Tour event since February, struggled off the tee, but thanks to a longer putter that has allowed him to practice more without back pain, was 3 shots back after a 68 that included 5 birdies and 3 bogeys. World number 1, Justin Thomas, hit 71, and Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy with 70. Both struggled in their group with Woods. Moving on to cricket news now. Shan Masood scored a 3rd century in as many innings, and Seema Mohammad Abbas caused mayhem at the top of the England order as Pakistan moved ahead in the first test at the close of day 2 at Old Trafford. England are teetering at 92 for 4, still 234 runs behind Pakistan's competitive first innings total of 326, a total boosted by a superb career-best 156 from opener Shan. Ollie Pope on 46 not out and Joss Butler on 15 not out will return to the crease this morning, needing to rebuild the hosts' innings. And finally, our trivia question we asked you in the first hour related to the Nedbank Cup as it gets football underway in the country after a 4-month break. We asked you, when it comes to the Nedbank Cup final, in Nedbank Cup history, what's been the record amount of goals scored in the championship match? We asked you to get involved at Morning Live SABC. Mo Africa, Mukukulume, Wachimboni, Pambopane says SuperSport 6, Orlando Pirates 1. Hafi says 2016 and 2017, SuperSport United defeated Orlando Pirates 3-2 and 4-1 respectively. Thanks, Hafi. Loiso says 8-goal thriller. No. Samuel Itsholo says 5 goals in 2017 Orlando Pirates and SuperSport United. You know, SuperSport United have been involved in 2 of these occasions, but it's happened in 3 occasions in the Nedbank Cup, and that is 5 goals being scored in 95, 2016 and 2017. 95 was Cape Town Spurs 3, Pretoria City 2. That was when it was the Bob Save Super Bowl. 2016, SuperSport United beating Orlando Pirates 3-2. And the following year, SuperSport United beating Orlando Pirates 4-1. Alright, have a great weekend ahead. I will see you again on Monday show. Do stay with Morning Live. We will be back. Let's return to the Auckland Park studio.
Well, thank you so much, Valen, and enjoy your weekend. So, continuing here where Valen started off earlier on, it is, of course, August, it's Women's Month, and we're focusing on women who actually are trying to break the glass ceiling, as it were. And when it comes to the mining industry, it's very much a man's world, with only a few women making it to the top positions. Now, our next guest, however, does not want to be the exception. She says she's trying her best to uphold being a young woman in the mining industry so that all females can get a sense that they can make it as well. And at 35 years of age, Meagan van den Berg has been appointed as AECI's mining executive responsible for the company's Southern Africa business portfolio. And she joins us now to tell us more about her journey. Meagan, good morning. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on Morning Live. Happy Women's Month and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers. It's very exciting to be invited to talk to you this morning and perhaps share some insights in the industry and how other ladies can progress.
Indeed. And maybe let's just start with your journey into this particular field of mining, because it is very much a man's world. Yes, we have seen more and more women making their mark in the mining industry, but it remains very male dominated. So how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I think mining is definitely perceived as an industry that's not necessarily attractive to women. It's not really sexy in the term of the conventional careers. But mining is such an exciting industry to be part of. It offers so much opportunity, so much scope for growth. So I came from a technical high school in the Eastern Cape. And when it came to deciding what to do after high school, it was just a natural progression to go into engineering. And when I started doing my homework on what was available, mining certainly caught my eye. And at that stage, there were numerous bursaries available to go and study mining. And I was very fortunate to be awarded a bursary through De Beers on the Anglo-American Bursa scheme. And I've never looked back. Like I said, it's opened numerous doors for me. It's not limited to a specialized field. You literally can, from year on year, you experience so many things. And the people in the industry, they've got a contagious energy. It's an industry where people work incredibly hard, but they also are, the camaraderie in the industry and the pride is just something that's so contagious, and it's such a great industry to be part of. And serving the industry in the explosives field is just as exciting. And for me, it's just been such a rewarding experience.
Do you find, speaking of that camaraderie, Meagan, that women have to have a little bit more of a camaraderie being in this particular field? Or do you find that it cuts across the gender barrier?
Certainly, it's always good to have to support you, inspire each other, and to give advice and guidance. I think in any industry, in any profession, you get the days when you just think this is incredibly difficult, and mining is exactly that kind of industry. You know, when you're fresh out of varsity, you think sort of big city lights, excitement, and unfortunately mining by nature is not in the city. So as a woman, you do sacrifice a lot. As a young person, you sacrifice a lot. You go out to mining communities, and there your network is essential. So support from women, but equally from the men in the industry. I've been quite fortunate to have a very strong network of male colleagues, male peers, and also the customers that we look after out in the areas. A lot of them have been incredibly supportive and always providing a lot of guidance, information, and generally just supportive to the idea and welcoming to the idea of women in mining. But certainly, yes, I would always suggest that you have a strong network of highly competent ladies, not necessarily just in the mining field, but throughout.
Now, Meagan, you spoke about explosives earlier on. So I'm just curious, early on in your career, when you pitched up, did you get stared at? You know, what was the reaction to you coming in and dealing with something so, very delicate, especially in this particular field? And here's this young lady, and she walks in, and she's the one who is going to talk to us or going to be selling us this product. How were you received?
So, I mean, explosives has been a wonderfully exciting experience for me. And at one stage, I actually held the position of I was the one who would push the button. And I always used to sort of start a conversation when someone asked me, what do you do? Well, I blow things up. The excitement of the industry. I think, you know, when I started a good 10 years ago, there weren't as many ladies represented in the industry. And I must admit, a company like AECI is incredible in enabling ladies like myself to enter the industry and work with us to understand, you know, where are the barriers to entry. We find it's like a little bit difficult to adjust to the industry, and where are the company policies sort of not aligned for us to be participating. So first time you pitch up on a bench, and I think, you know, stereotypical tall blonde girl, you sort of look very much out of place. But once your colleagues or the customers get over the initial skepticism, and you start building relationships and credibility, you know, you quickly overcome any sort of misgivings or suspicions around whether or not you should be there. So certainly in the beginning, it was a bit of a shock, I think, a culture shock. But over the years, it has certainly got easier, and I think ladies in the industry have certainly carved a path to follow in terms of having built credibility and showing that we certainly do deserve a spot on a bench, underground, or even around the boardroom table when it comes to the mining and related industries.
And Meagan, you're now in charge of your company's business portfolio in Southern Africa. And that's no mean feat. It's a huge responsibility. So in terms of executing your task, again, what sort of barriers are you likely, or have you already faced, if you've started already, in terms of dealing with patriarchy, in terms of dealing with misogyny? Because if we're being honest, outside of South Africa, there are still huge issues in dealing with this.
Yeah, so I actually took over chairmanship just over a year and a half ago of the subsidiaries in the neighboring countries. And again, I think initially there will always be skepticism if you are in a minority and people aren't used to seeing you around a table. But any sort of relationship is based on respect, a mutual respect for each other, your opinions, certainly respect for the legacy of this industry in specific, a respect for the knowledge that a lot of the, let's call it the older generation in the industry have to offer. So once you've built that platform of mutual respect, and then you build trust through demonstrating your capability, and obviously that's backed by your education and your experience, I think those barriers slowly start to sink away. And again, the more ladies who actively industries who demonstrate that we are equal to any man or any male counterpart, I think that just makes it a lot easier, that you're not someone who people aren't used to seeing around the table. So certainly, yes, I think it is a challenge if they're not being involved in these kind of discussions or forums. But again, mutual respect and building a strong foundation through that and demonstrating capability quickly buries those barriers or breaks down those barriers.
Just a final word to young ladies who may be watching and thinking, what, Meagan could do it, I could perhaps do it as well. What would you say to them as a word of encouragement if they want to become a mining engineer like yourself?
So the first thing I can definitely say is follow your passion. If you are interested in something, you will always see a way to get it work. So choose something that is really going to drive that passion, spark that passion within you. Find yourself, first of all, a role model. It's really important to look up to someone. So one of my first role models within the mining industry was a lady by the name of Catherine Reichard. She was one of our lecturers, and that was always someone for me to look up to and think I would like to be that lady one day. She's paved the path. Find a mentor, someone who is there to guide you, have difficult conversations with you. And again, I've been very privileged within my own company that has been available to me. And then very importantly, find a sponsor who's always going to have a good word to say about you and demonstrate your capabilities. And then finally, just make a solid foundation for yourself through education. No one can ever take away the power that education will give you. And thereafter, just be willing to go with the experience, be willing to move around, be willing to hate and just go with it. And so your journey will eventually take you to where you want to end up and build that network. That network is...
Well, Meagan, thank you so much. Lovely speaking to you and getting to know you, and happy Women's Month to you. Meagan van der Berg is a young mining engineer who is now in charge of AECI Mining's Southern African business portfolio. Explained to us how she broke the gender glass ceiling, so to speak, and also encouraging other young people, young women in particular, who may want to get into the field of mining. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be talking about students and some assistance for them, tertiary education students in this regard.
We live in a new high-tech environment. Because of technology, some of the world's wealthiest people are tech entrepreneurs. Tech is how we play and how we work. For your tech conversation, join me, Phumelele Zondi, on Network every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
On Trends Travel, we are all about levels, starting up with level 5.
And the whole world went inside and shut their doors. And no one act by people as a whole has felt more like love than this.
This has become our lives. Gloves, masks and hand sanitizers. But it doesn't mean your mask has to be boring.
The Fashion Forward Level 4.
Winter 2021. We're going to be chatting to David Lally to find out more about his latest collection. Darling.
The Out and About Level 3. Whether it's hiking, a self-drive.
This one is one of the tamed giraffes. It actually likes people who miss it too.
Or just cycling.
That's it. It's a wrap.
You will get it right here on your home of adventure.
The special rapporteur on the right of everyone to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. Congratulations on your appointment.
It's fantastic, I think, to be entrusted and given the responsibility of such a big mandate is something that I don't take lightly. The biggest role as a special rapporteur on health is to advise the UN on the global trends that are emerging, so that work continues.
Most of the parts of the country have pretty much reached the peak point. The containment measures being implemented are assisting. However, we must not be complacent. If we don't insist on the mask, the sanitizers, the washing of hands, distancing, we actually can have a second surge